The impudence, the audacity, the unmitigated gall of those Knuckleheads of Liberty podcasters, daring to voice opinions outside the mainstream of accepted thought. Listen if you dare. It's angry, it's funny, it's even sometimes sad, but it's always based on freedom and justice, as you will see. Here's our host, Jason McPhee.
Welcome to the Knuckleheads of Liberty. We're coming to you on July 27th, 2022. And a lot to talk about in the news today. But before we do that, let me introduce you to our panel. In our upper left-hand corner, we have Leon, the word Brathwaite, last word in Liberty. He is a retired engineer in the state of California. In upper right-hand corner, we have our screaming eagle of freedom, Tim Everett. He is a pilot in the state of California. My name is Jason McPhee, and I'll be your host today. So right away, these guys on the left can never seem to get away from authoritarianism. That's sort of their cure, their prescription for everything. And our first story is talking about Anthony Fauci was recently interviewed on, The Hill. And he told them if he had to do it over again, he'd be more stringent.
Yeah.
So maybe he didn't get all the cues that he wanted from China. he lost his welding torch or something.
Must be. Yeah.
He's angry he didn't kill any household pets.
Yeah,
I guess so. Yeah, but it's just absolutely insane. I mean, he was literally interviewed recently, and he said that if he had to do it again, he'd be more stringent. And of course, this is the guy who lied about masks for everybody's benefit, supposedly at first, and then told everybody that they needed 2 masks.
Yes.
So, I don't know. I mean, what was he? Maybe more stringent? 5 masks?
Yes, I guess.
What do you guys have to say about this? This is insanity.
I just figured out he looks like a cardinal or a bishop or a pope or something. He looks so Catholic. Maybe it's because he's Italian. I don't know. Or it's that gray hair. Yeah, of course I should talk, but anyway, I guess he's angry. He didn't kill enough puppies and didn't lock people up like in China, and maybe shoot the defectors, and who knows what this guy what comes up in this guy's brain. Didn't damage the economy enough, didn't destroy the lives of small business owners and all kinds of people actually in the service industry. Didn't unemploy enough marginalized workers already, apparently, from if he's and then of course you've got Sweden and other countries that didn't lock down hardly at all, or didn't lock down at all, and didn't have mask mandates, and they did just the same as everybody else, maybe better. And it's a virus. He ought to know. It's just going to go. It's going to run its course. It's just going to infect people, and there you have it. Nothing to do about it, really. And the more you try to crunch down on it, the more harm you do in other ways. Maybe let's just say it's less, that there's less people that catch COVID. And so it's a success to social distance and wear masks, and let's just say it's unequivocal. But to do that, you have to sacrifice in other ways. Okay, it's a broken window fallacy, the seen and the unseen. So what unseen areas that you're not paying attention to that now suddenly, and that's what we've seen in all the research and data that came out, is that many people died from other diseases they weren't able to get care for, and so on and so forth. So anyway, what else can you expect from this guy?
Indeed. The thing is that the government officials are not held accountable for the disasters they create in people's lives. And during the pandemic, there were a lot of disasters and a lot of harm that was done, especially to our children. Fauci said in that video that he was not for school lockdown. He did not recommend the locking down of schools, but he just wanted the kids to be in a safe environment where they could learn, blah blah blah, some nonsense like that. This man is lying. Okay, he's lying, and there's enough evidence to suggest that this man was engaged in a lot of unethical, if not criminal, conduct in terms of the funding and also the things that was going on in that Wuhan lab that the NHI is associated with. I mean, there's a third party involved also. But the point is though, these authoritarians, they always look for ways to take away our freedoms and take away our liberties. That is what they always look for. And then when the harm is done, they could get on TV and lie about their positions originally. Fauci never said anything about, oh, we shouldn't lock down. No, we can manage this thing. He never said that. He never once said that, well, we should try to live with this thing. And look at even now, he's talking about more stringent. He should have been more stringent. So he never talked about us learning to live with COVID. He never talked about, but listen to that interview. You'll swear he was not giving the kind of advice that he actually gave. This man is a liar and maybe a criminal. I'm not sure about the criminal part, but certainly a liar.
Well, they certainly told us that we couldn't, that we wouldn't be likely to catch this at first if we had the vaccine.
Exactly.
And, oh my God, he's caught it more times than I have, I think. And so has Mr. Biden here, who frequently was running around without his mask, constantly touching his face and shaking hands with people. He had COVID.
And fist bumping too.
Yes, I think Biden was a vector. I think just walking around like Mr. Magoo, with but it's just crazy. I mean, all this stuff. It's
but there's an interesting point about this, about Biden catching COVID. When Trump caught COVID in October of 2020, the media was up in arms about a super spreader. Oh, this man is so irresponsible. How could he allow this to happen? So many people got infected, blah, blah, blah. They went on and on they went on about Trump. So now that Biden caught COVID, and of course, several people in the White House have tested positive for the virus, where's the media now to tell us how irresponsible Joe Biden is? Where's the media? Where's the media to tell us about the super spreader that's in the White House and in the Oval Office? Where are they? They have suddenly disappeared. They have found religion. Oh, Biden is responsible, but he just accidentally got COVID. But that was not the case for Trump, obviously not.
Well, it was kind of funny too, because he gave and I don't have an image of this with me, but he gave a address from the White House after coming down with COVID, and he was apparently on the same balcony as Trump without a mask, telling everybody what good shape he's in. And the media thought he was just wonderful for doing it. And with Trump, when he did it, apparently he was the devil incarnate.
Notice we have had this discussion so far, and we have not used the H word as yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was about to mention that, but you beat me to it. Very good. I'm very proud of all of us.
Well, speaking of hypocritical organizations.
There goes Jason breaking the rules again.
I just had to poke the
Couldn't
balloon.
let it go.
Well, we're one of the other stories, and it sort of tied to something we did last week, but we talked about self-defense on defense, and essentially, the terrible beating by the system that Jose Alba took when he was, defending himself. And so the government sent him to Rikers Island, gave him a massive bail, all for defending his own life. And it's just absolute insanity. Well, one of the other crazy stories out of that was that GoFundMe, the group that, advertises that, they're willing to, help you raise funds essentially for important causes, some of which might be, a legal defense in some cases. And in Jose Alba's case, the GoFundMe literally canceled his page when he was trying to fund himself, for the legal defense he was needing to mount against the government. And it's just insanity, that on stilts that, somebody who with such a righteous cause was being stepped on by this woke organization, GoFundMe. While at the same time, they had a recent issue where some guy sort of went nuts and took out a gun and started shooting at his girlfriend, and I'm not sure if it was their kids or just her kids, but whatever. She was locked in a bathroom, and it was just absolutely crazy. Well, GoFundMe is allowing for this guy's family to raise funds off of this, but of course for Jose Alba, I don't know if it's case being the wrong color, the fact that he defended himself. I mean, this guy was literally shooting at people. He could have killed somebody, and GoFundMe was just fine with this. I mean, what do you guys think about this? This is absolute insanity. I mean, I know for me, GoFundMe something it's off my radar. I'm never going to use it.
This is wokeness. This is wokeness on steroids. Okay, really and truly. They tried. GoFundMe put out a statement after someone pointed out to them, this is crazy. They said, "Oh, our terms of service do not allow people to raise money for a legal offense, for a violent crime." And I found that so strange. So I started to look into this. And I think there have been cases where they have allowed people to raise money for legal offense. So they're lying about why they took his page down. So this have nothing to do but wokeness. You see, self-defense is not a right in a blue state. And of course, Jose Alba was in New York, and we know he was charged, but the charges have since been dropped. But this crazy fool who was shooting into an apartment, the police end up shooting him, but he was the right skin color, and he was part of the social, I guess, the social justice crowd, because Black Lives Matter was out there protesting his death. When the woman who was shot at came out and said, "This was not a George Floyd situation. This man was shooting at me. This man was stalking me for months." She came out and said that. But that was not good enough for GoFundMe. Okay? The guy was a part of the social justice crowd, of course. He was shot by the police, so he suddenly became a martyr. Even though this crazy fool was shooting at a woman and her young kids. You're right, Jason. I don't know if it was his kids or not. Was shooting at this woman and the young kids. But he had that shield, that made him a saint, made him a martyr. He was a black man being shot by the police. Oh my God, there's something wrong and righteous here. So we got to raise money for him. And that's okay. But not for Jose Alba, who was defending his life. This is sick nonsense that's going on here. It is crazy and insane.
Yeah, boy, that's a tough one to follow, Leon. I guess the left just wants black people to be able to do anything to anyone at any time, however they please. I guess that's it. I mean,
that's what social justice is. That's what social justice is. The social justice crowd have become. They can do anything they wish. They could burn down our cities. They could riot. They could kill people. We just recently had one guy who was prosecuted and convicted. They could do all these things. And yet the media will tell us, "Oh, it was a mostly peaceful protest. These people are rioting and burn down these cities." And that is what they want to tell us. "Oh, it was mostly peaceful. Don't worry about it. It's all going to be nice and wonderful."
Well, I wonder what would happen if they burned down the studios at ABC, NBC, or CBS, or one of those. How about that? How about they burn?
Good question.
They take a bulldozer and cut down the towers that broadcast their television programs. And
yes.
How about that? Then what would they say? How about if they came in and shot the executives of the multimedia companies? Would they mind that? Would that be okay in there? The leftover. I mean, I guess they'd have to bring up some junior reporters, because the top people would be dead maybe in that situation. But I guess it's all okay, right? A-okay.
I guess the social justice crowd will probably find some way to justify it. I don't know, but probably.
Well, the other odd thing about this too is that, it's somebody who is raising money for their defense. They're not actually raising money to go commit a crime. They're raising money to try and show that they're not guilty because they haven't been proven guilty. In the case of Jose Alba, and it would be almost the same argument as, oh my God, we can't fund a public defender because he might be guilty. I mean, that's literally what our government does: is we fund somebody to defend somebody. It's absolutely insanity. But let me get on to another.
What was their excuse for the truckers in? They pulled the plug on the truckers up in Canada. That was a political protest. You can't you can't fund political protests, or is it only the ones that are protesting for leftist ideas? Is that what GoFundMe? Is GoFundMe?
Tim, words are violence as long as they're against the left, right? I mean, that's what we've been told.
I didn't, but that, Jason, but that's a very good question that Tim is raising here. What was the answer to the outrage that came out of them trying to pull the money? Well, they did pull the money from the truckers in Canada. What was I did now that Tim have asked the question, it's something we should find out, because this is very interesting. Because they took away the money from Jose Alba, okay? And of course, that was self-defense, which they find so objectionable. Now, and the truckers in Canada who were protesting the Justin Trudeau and his authoritarian rules and games, and they took away the money from that too. And what was the excuse then? I'm not sure. This is interesting.
I don't remember, but I think it probably had something to do with insurrection-y activity, probably. Because I'm pretty
that's
sure
a new word, insurrection-y.
Well, I think this is because this happened after the January 6th thing. So this was I think at that point the left was on a kick where anything that was against any kind of lefty government was at that point insurrection, right? And they were parking their trucks, they were encircling the Capitol, I guess, and causing Justin Trudeau to flee into hiding, bravely flee. Yeah. Well.
Alrighty.
Well, let's jump to the Good Guys with Guns episode first. If we have time for the other one, we'll get to that. So.
Alrighty, let me pull it up while we're at it. This one happened in Detroit. Yeah, there he is. This last June 7th this year, an early morning home invasion ended in the fatal shooting of the suspect on Detroit's west side. Homeowner Maiso Jackson, if I'm pronouncing that right, has lived in his home for 20 years, and he's owned his gun for the last 8. He's taken lessons on how to handle that firearm. Early this morning, that training was put into action. I had to do what I had to do to save my life, he said. Maiso Jackson awoke around 4:30 in the morning, Tuesday, to a man pounding on his door and yelling. Parts of the encounter were captured on his Ring doorbell. There he is. Camera at his home on Salem Street on Detroit's west side. He was talking about how someone owed him money. I said, "No one here owes you money." Jackson said, "I don't know what you're talking about." Jackson says he tried to reason with the man from inside his house. He wouldn't leave, so I dialed 911, he said. While they waited for police, he says, things escalated. Then he went around the window here and busted that window out, Jackson said. Fearing the destruction wouldn't stop, Jackson armed himself. I came outside and said, "You have to leave. You can't be doing this," he said. So then he reached for his gun and pulled it out. I had to defend myself. I had to shoot him because of that. Jackson fired 4 shots, hitting the man in the chest, killing him. It was me or him at that point, he said. I didn't want to hurt nobody, but he just wouldn't quit. When police did arrive, Jackson says he followed their orders and was led away in handcuffs to questioning. Knowing he was a lawful gun owner, he said he was aware the police had an investigation to do. I was just in shock he wouldn't leave. He tried to kill me and I didn't do nothing to the guy. Jackson said, that's the part that's kind of sad. He was hopeful that the law would be on his side once the police heard his story, you can't help but defend yourself. You have no choice but to. He said, by sharing his story with Fox 2 News, he is hopeful that someone might take away a lesson or two from his encounter. You have to be on guard. You have to be prepared. You can't just let people run you over and hurt you and not do anything about it. You have to defend yourself. Detroit police did confirm to Fox 2 that the homeowner, Jackson, was questioned for a few hours by police and released without any charges. But cases like these are subject to review by the prosecutor's office, which is what they are. There we go.
I thought one of the interesting things there is he said that, you have a right to defend yourself. Not in Canada. They've literally.
Yeah. And apparently not in New York City either, because Jose Alba was trying to defend himself and they arrested him and charged him.
Yeah.
No, the charges have been dropped, but he was charged.
Oh, okay. So he's not. Oh, wait a minute. So now the GoFundMe thing, going back to that was for a criminal case, a defense, correct?
Yes.
So he's not charged. So he's no longer under criminal indictment. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Yes. Well, what's the point, though?
Well, the point is that if anybody wants to give him money through GoFundMe now, the door should be open to Jose Alba.
Oh, I see.
I mean, if that was the only thing blocking his getting GoFundMe funds, then was if he was under an indictment for a
criminal indictment. Yes.
Yeah, for a criminal offense. And they decided not to charge him or drop charges or whatever because they reviewed the case and go, well, this case self-defense, plain and simple, done deal. You're free to go home. No charges against you. So now, and by the way, to help recoup the money you lost through this entire ordeal and the hereafter. GoFundMe can now the door's open, correct? GoFundMe. I mean, I'm just asking. Just asking a question.
Good question.
I tell you, pinning down the left is like trying to nail Jello to a wall.
Yeah.
Constantly moving. Yeah, moving target.
Logic is not your strong point. Definitely not.
Well, speaking of that, I think now's a good time to segue into our Knucklehead Noise Patrol. And this one should be interesting to everybody because, I mean, we all realize that we're in some bad economic times. Apparently, the White House believes he can get out of those bad economic times simply by redefining what good economic times and bad economic times are. I mean, I agree, though. He is setting the bar super low, so maybe now everything will look good relatively the way but it's crazy. I mean, so apparently, we had a first quarter with negative GDP. And so now the report is about to come out that says, it's supposed to say, I guess, at the end of the week that we are in a second straight quarter of negative GDP, which then means we are in a recession. That is the common definition for everybody on what a recession is. Now, maybe you can argue that some recessions are worse than others, potentially. This one doesn't feel very good, so I'm not exactly sure what they're trying to say about it. But the Biden administration is literally trying to say, hey, you know what? A recession, whatever you've heard a recession is, it's not that. Just like they can't figure out what a woman is over there, and apparently they're not clear on self-defense. All these things.
Oh, they're clear on self-defense. You have no right to self-defense.
That's true. That's right.
You Neanderthals, you.
Well, let me read the White House's statement real quick here. So it says, and this is in mind that they are aware that this is coming out. This, second quarter report is coming out, and so they're trying to head it off. And they're saying, what is a recession? While some maintain that 2 consecutive quarters of falling GDP constitute a recession, that is neither the official definition nor the way economists evaluate the state of the business cycle. Instead, both official determinations of recessions and economists' assessments of economic activity are based on a holistic look at the data, including the labor market, consumer and business spending, industrial production and incomes. Based on these data, it is unlikely that the decline in GDP in the first quarter of this year, even followed by another GDP decline in the second quarter, indicates a recession. So they're just trying to say, recession. No, but it's not a recession. This is actually we're in nirvana. Apparently. I don't know. What do you guys think about this?
Well, I thought that looking at the GDP was looking at it holistically by itself.
Exactly,
because it's a good indicator of how much goods and services are being produced in the economy. I mean, it's got its flaws, like they all do, but it's a pretty good barometer of what's going on. Okay. There's other barometers, and you want to look at everything else. True, but I think you can go ahead and base your definition off of GDP when it comes to recessions, like we always have in the past, and nobody ever tried to redefine what a recession was. And they can define their way into prosperity if they want. I imagine, they could, pick some other litmus test. Hey, more millionaires were created, and so therefore we're not in a recession. How about that?
I was just thinking of that, Tim. The number of trillionaires or billionaires in Zimbabwe, right?
That's right. I think half the country were billionaires in Zimbabwe, if you want the truth.
Yeah. I mean, they can define, they can just redefine themselves right into, Biden is the best president in the whole wide world, and I don't care what anybody else thinks.
Exactly,
the best. What do you think, Leon?
But even the idiot that put that statement out, you have to think about the level of intelligence that's going on here, or you have to think they think very little of our level of intelligence. Because here is GDP, right? That is that broad measure of economic activity going on in our economy. But into that number that we see, that whether it's a 1% growth or 2% decline, whatever, into that number, labor market data going, investments going, and all that kind of stuff going to give us that broad number. So the idiots are now telling us we should double count, or we should pull those numbers out of the big number, and then we'll find out that there's no real thing as a recession going on. This is how they think. Or they think we're so damn stupid. But the point of the matter is, the whole point of this whole thing here, the left is very good at doing one thing. They redefine words and to make it sound better. Okay? And they do this in all sectors of the economy, not only on this particular issue that we're talking about right now, but all sectors of our life. Look at something that they do, that they have done, and apparently quite successfully. You know what is reproductive rights? You know what that is in America? Reproductive rights is the right to kill the unborn. That is how it's been defined. You hear about diversity, equity, and inclusion, those nice sounding words. That is about giving preference to non-whites and to women. Okay? And it could go on and on. There's a whole list of them. You could go on. You could talk about the capacity to be pregnant. Listen to that redefinement that's going on right now. Now they're saying that, men could be pregnant. So we cannot talk about women anymore. We have to redefine that to include all people who have the capacity to be pregnant. What nonsense is going on here? What, they think we're so damn stupid we wouldn't know the difference? We can't tell the difference between a man and a woman. We can't tell the difference between killing something and keeping it alive and having it reproduce. And we certainly cannot tell the difference between a recession and normal business activity where we are not in recession. We can't tell that difference because we're too damn stupid. That is what they think of us.
Well, they have a track record, and they are good at one other thing, and that is to blame or call people Putin's puppets. So they do that pretty well, and so they have this track record. And so who would blame them for thinking that people are stupid? Because their constituents, the Democrats that voted for Biden, and the Democrats that engineered, and I just have to say it, just because I haven't in a while, but calling Tulsi Gabbard Putin's puppet. If they can get that lie sold to the masses of the Democratic Party, then they can. Then what else are they going to think? But I guess they're thinking most Democrats, and they're the only people that listen to me anyway, are dumb. So I might as well say dumb stuff to them because they bought this whole baloney about Tulsi Gabbard as an example. Just one example.
Yes, yes.
I had to mention Tulsi.
Yeah, of course. We noticed him. No worry, we noticed.
Well, this is the crazy thing. I mean, this is the administration was literally trying to put out a bureau of misinformation, right? I mean, a board of misinformation to be able to tell people that what they know or don't know either is or isn't so.
Yes, exactly.
Just on the fly, redefining everything to be what they want it to be. It's absolute insanity. But this is what they do. They obfuscate the metrics, so it makes it hard for anybody to evaluate what they're doing. And we see this with the schools as well, where they are throwing out the SATs in California because they're not getting the results that they want. So therefore, throw out the metric.
Of course. Yeah.
Don't like the ruler? Toss the ruler out. We'll make a ruler that says what we want it to say.
There you go.
Right? And
yes.
That's exactly what.
Yeah, I guess if they ran a certain cargo company and they didn't get the freight out on time, they just changed the time that they were supposed to get the freight out to be it went out on time.
Went on time, It might be a whole day late, but it went out on time because
went out on time because we changed the time that it was supposed to go.
Yes, of course.
Well, speaking of the metric of time, unfortunately, we don't have the power of the Biden administration. We're way over time as we're measuring it. So that's about the end of our show today. But thanks so much for joining us. And by the way, look out for that show that we were going to have for the Freedom Fest summary that we did, where we interviewed people there and all that. And we hope to have a lot of people from there as future guests as well. But that should be coming out this week as well. So keep your eye out for it. And until then, stay free.
Yes, indeed. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, always and forever.
Thank you for listening to the Knuckleheads of Liberty podcast. Find us on Facebook, Rumble, YouTube, your favorite podcast network, and at knuckleheadsofliberty.com.